Welcome everybody. This is the Black Flag Running Club. I'm your head coach, Aaron Adranya, and this is week 13 as we head into a recovery week. So I know you guys have been putting forth your really strong best effort up to this point with some awesome hill repeats over the last few weeks, and also one of our longest runs to date this past Saturday. This coming week, we're going to take things down a little bit. We're going to give that opportunity to allow our bodies to recover, rest up a little bit, make sure that we're fully healed and in maximum strength condition before we start increasing our mileage again, either whether we're training for some of our longer distances like the full marathon crew, or if you're getting ready to run La Jolla, this again is going to give you that opportunity to kind of rest a little bit, make sure the body's fully recovered and prepared for best effort for that virtual race, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. All right, so we missed a lot of you guys last week at our first virtual happy hour. We had an awesome time. We played a few games, and I noticed that a lot of you guys didn't realize that that was even happening until you saw our group picture posted up on social media. So I hope you guys will all join us this Tuesday at 7:30. In your weekly post, you'll see that there is the links as to the Zoom call where you'll be able to log in and see us all face to face. And the best way, if you're planning on joining us, this is the best way to be able to approach that. So have your computer out, log into the Zoom account, and use the camera on the computer so we can visually see your face. And then you'll also want to have your phone available. And there's another link that's jackbox.tv, and that's going to actually bring you up to the game interface that we're going to be using. So you can kind of answer some of the trivia questions or just play along with some of the games that we're going to be doing as well. So you actually need two devices. If you don't want to play, no problem. Just bring an extra beer with you. Bring it into the Zoom call, and we'll just chat a little bit and see everybody, because I'm missing everybody and I'd love to see you all there. Again, that's this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. All your login information will be in this weekly's post down at the bottom. Alrighty, so we're going to do a change in our location. I think originally we had planned that we were going to do a trolley run today, and that's not going to work. Just simply, I don't know, there's just a lot of complexities that go with jumping on the trolley and getting off at one location and running to a next. However, though, we're still going to do something that involves the San Diego trolley system, and there's going to be a little bit of a history lesson to it. So before we dive into that, I want to go through what our plan is for our runs this week for each of the subgroups and how exactly this is all going to be orchestrated. We're also running a brand new location. With all the parks being closed and a lot of the pathways being closed, we're going to have to be a little inventive here about where we go, but don't worry, we got a plan. And this Tuesday, we're heading up to a brand new location at Trolley Barn Park up in University Heights. So with that, make sure you take a look at the details down below in your weekly post for the physical location and the address of where you're going to go in. And then we'll also go over a little bit more details of where you're going to be running from a maps perspective a little bit later. But first, let's take a look at each one of the subgroups and what we've got planned for you this week. All right, so first up, La Jolla. We're in recovery mode. So what does that mean? I use this line all the time. All the hay is in the barn, meaning you can't do anything else to prepare for this race. You've already put in the effort. The best thing that we can do at this point in time is make sure that we are nutritionally prepared. We're rested appropriately as well, so that when it comes time to actually run that course, we're in a position to really put forth our best effort while we're out there. So if you're running La Jolla, this is what we've got planned for you this Tuesday. So the La Jolla team, you guys are going to be, this is starting with the run walkers. You guys are out there for a total of 60 minutes, and your interval is going to be listed as either a 2:08 or a 2:13. Now this is a new duration for you, and it's a little bit up from where you were last week. Now if you felt comfortable at the 1:09, that's totally okay. You can stick with that. However, if you're feeling confident about how you're doing and you want to move it up a little bit, you are welcome to be able to do that. Again, at this point in time, from a training perspective, there's nothing really new that you're going to be able to do to prepare for that race. That has been happening over the last 12 weeks. We're in week 13, recovery. Next week is race week. Alrighty, so intermediate group, let's talk about what we've got for you. The intermediate group will be out there for either 4 to 5 miles. Again, this is casual running. Same thing with the PR chasers. We've got you listed to do a total of 6 miles. And again, these are nice, casual, easy-paced runs. So with that, best of luck to you heading into La Jolla. But again, keep it nice and slow and easy this week. Again, we want those legs to be nice and fresh before we head into the race. Next up, let's take a look at what we've got planned for the rock and roll crew. Now, the Rock and Roll Crew, as you know, we do not have a planned date for you yet. The race has officially been postponed, but we don't have a new date assigned to us yet. So what are we going to do about that? Nothing. We're just going to keep running, keep training, and preparing ourselves. When we do have the new date, we'll be able to adjust our training schedule so that we're peaking at the right time. But again, until we have that information, we will have to make kind of like work a little bit on the fly until we get all that stuff resolved. So the biggest thing is keeping our mileage up, having recovery weeks every few weeks, which is what we're going to be doing this week. And then we'll also be starting to introduce obviously some additional speed and training along those lines to really get the most out of these runs. So with that, rock and roll, here's what we've got planned for you. So the half marathon group, you guys are out there for a total of 60 minutes. This means that you'll be doing either a 2:8 or a 2:13. This is 2 minutes walking followed by 8 minutes running, or 2 minutes walking followed by 13 minutes of running for the run walk group. The intermediate group, we actually have one more speed workout that we're going to introduce, but I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like for the intermediate group. But you're going to be doing a total of 6 miles, and the PR chasers, you guys are going to be doing a total of 6 miles as well. Now, when you're out there running your 6 miles, I want to talk about how you're going to introduce speed in each one of these categories. So basically what I'm going to have you do is that you're going to be heading out for your first 2 miles nice and easy, right? These are nice casual, casual pace, almost conversation pace, right? A little bit faster than that, but you're basically going to be able to, you're not putting in a full on out effort. But the last 4 miles, I would like you to turn up the heat. And this is the idea of like finding out what that lactate threshold is. And what does that mean? It's like, what is the longest time that you're able to sustain that speed for the remaining distance that you're running? Now, for the intermediate group, this is new to you. You haven't ran like this before. However, we are going to start introducing those for the next few weeks. So for you guys, try it, see where you're at. At the end of the day, we don't get faster just by running the same runs week after week after week. We have to continue to be able to push ourselves and stretch our abilities, and that's what's going to be happening this week. So again, 2 easy miles to start off with, finishing with the last 4, bringing you up to lactate threshold. So casual for the first 2, conversation pace, followed by how much can I sustain this pace for? So it's not a full out sprint, but it's going to be up to that 80-90% threshold as far as level of effort is concerned. All right, so next up, let's take a look at the full marathon crew and what we've got planned for you this Tuesday. Rock and Roll Full, we've got you guys listed to be doing a total of 70 minutes for the run walk group. Your new duration again is also the 2:8 or 2:13. We already talked about what the combo is for that. The intermediate group, you guys will be running for a total of 6 miles, and the PR chasers, we have you running for a total of 7 miles this Tuesday. Now, one thing I want to make mention as it relates to the PR chasers, I've got it listed in your schedule for you guys to be running at your goal marathon pace. So if you're unclear as to what that is, we can also go back to the Macmillan calculator that we used earlier in the season and plug in what we are anticipating our finishing time to be. That will then tell us what our average mile breakdown needs to be. That's what we need to be running this weekend. This is also to kind of give you a sense of what that might be. If you were used to running your lactate threshold pace, this is going to be about 10 to 12, maybe even 15 seconds off or lower than your traditional lactate threshold pace. So again, something new, but your entire 7-mile run, you're going to be running at that goal pace or 10 to 15 seconds off your lactate threshold pace. All right, so last up, we have the restart group. So again, you guys are going to be heading out there today, starting off with the run walkers or the interval group. You guys are going to be heading out there for a total of 50 minutes. This is up for you about 10 minutes over last week's Tuesday run, and you're going to be doing an interval of either a 2-3 or a 3-7. So 2 minutes walking, followed by 3 minutes of running, or 3 minutes of running followed by 7 minutes of running. So that's what we got planned for you. The intermediate group, you guys will be doing a total of 5 miles out there today. Alrighty, so that concludes each one of the subgroups that we've got planned for you. Now let's take a look at the map so we all know where exactly we're running and what we're going to be doing today. Because again, this is a new run for us. We've never done this run before, so please review the map in advance and then also pay close attention to the turn-by-turn directions as to what we've got planned. All right, let's take a look at the map for today's run. We are starting at Trolley Barn Park on Adams Avenue. We are going to be heading east on Adams Avenue until you just pass the park. That first street there is called Panorama Drive. We are going to be making a left-hand turn there, and basically we're going to be running around that entire street. There's not a lot of streets to get lost in. You're just going to keep to your left all the way around. Eventually it's going to drop you back off on Adams. At this point in time, we're going to keep going east on Adams. We're going to cross over Texas Street. That's a big bridge that you're going to be going across there. Next up, you're going to run into Arizona Street. You'll be making a left-hand turn there. When you get to the end, it eventually dead ends and it runs into Collier Avenue. You're going to be making a right-hand turn there. You're going to be running in front of the Academy of Our Lady of Peace, making a left-hand turn there. Making a left turn at the school. Next, you're going to run into Copley Avenue. You're going to be making the right-hand turn there. And then again, you're going to be running until it hits a dead end. From there, you're going to be making a right-hand turn on Kansas Street. Kansas Street eventually is going to be dropping you off on, you're making the right-hand turn on Suncrest Road. Following Suncrest Road until you come to Boundary Street. From there, you're going to be making a right-hand turn, and then that'll bring you back out to Adams Avenue. From here, we're going to be going back out on Adams Avenue. Now this bridge is going to be crossing over the 805 freeway. Your first street on your left-hand side there, you'll note that you're there because you'll be seeing that there's a Valvoline gas station that's right there. From there, you'll be making that left-hand turn. This is West Mountain View Drive. Basically, you're going to stay on West Mountain View Drive as it loops around the outside of this particular community. Eventually, it changes names into North Mountain View Drive, but it's still the same street all the way around. As long as you're on a Mountain View Drive, you're not going to get lost. At the very end of this, eventually it's going to be dropping you back off on Adams Avenue, and then from here you're going to be making a straight shot all the way down Adams Avenue, all the way back down to Trolley Barn Park. So it's just a straight shot all the way back out, and all the way back to the starting point. On the way out, you're going to be doing the outside loops of each one of these different cul-de-sacs. Alrighty, so that's today's route. Good luck, have a fun run. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of history lesson in today's run just to make it a little bit more interesting. We haven't done a lot of this before. We did a little bit when we did the bridges run, but I think this is something kind of new and unique you'll find really very interesting. So we're heading up to Trolley Barn Park. So the first question is, what is Trolley Barn Park and why is it called Trolley Barn Park? There's nothing there, it's just a grassy field area. Well, what you may not know is that in the city of San Diego, there used to be a trolley system that used to run through the inner city sections of it. So where exactly? It used to go all around through the downtown area. It used to go from University Heights all the way down Adams Avenue, almost to the very end there. And then it would also hook up in Hillcrest and go all the way down University until you may be familiar with where the Tower Bar is at. That was actually the turnaround location for the trolley before they would send it back downtown. Heading south, it would go all the way down into the National City area. And then there was two other lines that had coastal. One of them would go all the way down into Pacific Beach, and then the other one would cut over to Ocean Beach. So this is a pretty elaborate system and was fully up and operational all through the county, initially starting in 1891 and came to an official close in 1949. So this was a very big and active system. So the place that we're starting to run at today, Trolley Barn Park, used to be where the trolleys would go to provide service or to be housed overnight. Now this particular location was in operation from 1913 all the way until 1949 when they disbanded the trolley system. So the Trolley Barn Park sat in this state of disrepair and basically condemned all the way on up until 1991, until its rededication, where it was opened up as far as a public access park is concerned. Now, when you take off on Trolley Barn Park, if you want to make a look off onto your left-hand side, just when you get past the first sidewalk, you can actually see where they've inlaid into the concrete pathway the original trolley line and where those tracks would have originally ran. You can kind of get a sense of what it might have looked like. And I'm actually going to provide a picture here so you can kind of get a sense of what exactly that would have been like back all the way in the late 1800s or early 1900s. So another thing that's very interesting here as we look at Trolley Barn Park, just slightly west of there, you'll notice that on the corner of Park and Adams Avenue that there are some large rock columns. These columns are very similar to the rock columns that we actually see inside Trolley Barn Park as well. Now I wanted to point these out to you because this used to be a large botanical garden. So here's a picture of what it used to look like back in the day. And this used to be called Mission Cliffs Garden, and it was operational as a public attraction starting in 1898 all the way through 1942. Initially, there was only like 7 palm trees and a couple seating areas. Over time, this public garden and botanical area grew to be as much as 20 acres of property. It's a really exciting area. It used to be actually a major destination for visitors coming to San Diego. Now, keep in mind, this botanical garden was actually opened before the World's Fair and the Panama, California Exposition came to San Diego. Now, Balboa Park was still under construction and they had set it aside as a public lands, but they weren't fully developed. So this particular area was actually a very exciting destination for a lot of people to go. Now, shortly after Spreckles passed away, which is one of the major developers of San Diego, the family decided to give up the property and they subdivided it and turned it into a bunch of houses where it is today. But you can still see the remnants of the gates that ran along the exterior of the botanical gardens today by these big rock structures and the retaining wall that runs along the front of it. One other point I wanted to point out related to this, these rock structures that you see not only on these the retaining walls heading into the botanical gardens, but also through San Diego construction in general, gives the San Diego craftsman style house a very unique look, as a lot of the foundation work and the columns are built out of these round rocks area. And that's by design. The soil that was located not only through the rest of North Park, but also specifically in the botanical garden area, was very rocky. And they had to excavate a lot of it out of the way to allow to bring in fresh soil so they could produce this garden for people to come visit. This led a lot of excess rocks standing around, and instead of just discarding them, they started introducing them into architectural features. So San Diego is very specific in our craftsman home style architecture in that we started to introduce these rocks into the overall look. So if you go and see craftsman styles in other parts in the country, you won't see that particular element. That's something that's very unique here to San Diego. Alrighty, so there's just a little mini history lesson for you. I hope you found it interesting. When you head on your run today, you'll kind of get a sense of this used to be a very old neighborhood, and especially as you run up through some of these, like Panorama Drive is one of the roads that we're going to be running on today. This was a very, very high-end community, kind of almost like a Del Mar or La Jolla would be for us today. Panorama Drive was considered one of those neighborhoods. So kind of think about that as you're running through the neighborhood and seeing some of the old architecture. I think it again adds just a little bit of flavor to our runs and takes them from just being a casual 6-mile run to something a little bit more interesting. All right, so I think that's everything. I think you've got everything that you needed to be prepared for the run this Tuesday. I'm hoping this little history hour added a little bit of texture and flavor to the runs that we typically do on Tuesdays, continue to make them fresh and interesting. And outside of that, that's all I have for you. We will see you guys on Friday morning with our next weekly post. Until then, remember, stay connected, be safe, run strong, and we will see you guys this Friday in the morning with our next weekly post.